everyone. Excited to be back with IAOCR to discuss some of the changes and things that we've seen with TMF University program development over the last couple of years. I know it's been a while since LMK and IAOCR have sat down to really talk about the TMF University program. So I'm Ben Rogers from LMK. I'm our manager of TMF education. I'm the voice and the face behind TMF University currently. I deliver the instruction to each of our cohorts, and I also assist with the assessment portfolio process and grading those for our learners. So I represent the LMK side. Kerry, would you mind introducing yourself?
Right. Hi, I'm Kerry Thomas. I'm a quality accreditation lead with IAOCR, and I connect with Ben and his team because I provide the external quality assurance for the TMF accreditations.
Awesome. Thanks, Kerry. And so I think kind of to start things off, kind of reintroducing perhaps TMF University, why it was developed, since it's been around for a few years now, which is kind of hard to believe. So we kind of often get the question of, why was TMF University developed? What sets this apart for some of the other training programs that are offered? And I think you started to mention it, Kerry, with that external verification and quality assurance. But to kind of give some background about TMF University, LMK really just noticed that there was this gap within the industry of helping TMF professionals or clinical research professionals in general to really have an understanding of what the trial master file is, the purpose of the TMF. It's kind of been looked at as perhaps this necessary evil within the industry sometimes, but we really wanted to make sure that people had a solid understanding of what the trial master file is and the purpose that it serves. So we saw this opportunity within the space to create a robust and accredited training program that really helps clinical research professionals or TMF professionals to develop that deeper understanding and have some of the opportunities to think critically and apply that knowledge in that verification process that you've mentioned, Kerry. So TMF University as a program, what sets it apart is the accreditation. Currently, it's the world's only accredited TMF training program, and we do that LMK in partnership with IAOCR. And Kerry's going to talk a little bit more about that in just a few minutes. But with the TMF University program, we offer three levels of training for the program: discovery, immersion, and mastery. And each of those levels covers different topics, really starting with foundational principles like introduction to trial master file and document QC, moving on to more complex topics like TMF technology and audits and inspections, and then really rounding things out with things like TMF process and metrics at that mastery level. So TMF University was developed to offer a comprehensive training program from end to end of what it takes to be a TMF professional and to have effective TMF management and oversight. So we offer this opportunity to really anyone. It's not specifically for TMF professionals or TMF associates or document reviewers, data managers, CRAs, project managers, clinical operations. Any role can find benefit because we're really all involved with the trial master file. So again, what really sets it apart is that accreditation process, which we'll talk about in a little bit more detail in just a few minutes. And then just thinking about, how this program is a benefit to the participants, I think there's oftentimes a thought here of, what's in it for me as a participant in this program with any training that we do, because this is often in addition to the day-to-day responsibilities that we have at work or at home. So again, I think it comes back to that kind of comprehensive understanding of TMF management and oversight. That's a benefit to you as an individual learner, but also to your organization. TMF University, we pride ourselves in being system and process agnostic. So what that means is we don't have any TMF technology that we prioritize or a process that we prioritize, because we all know things may be done a little bit differently within our own organizations. And what we really hope to achieve is giving people a best practice approach so they can take the information that they learn in TMF University and apply that in any setting. So it's not their current role, it could be future roles. They could look at their current role and really assess, how are they performing? Are there things that need to change, or are we actually doing a really great job, and let's kind of keep things as is. So that benefit is really kind of pulling yourself out of that maybe silo that you're in and kind of your current understanding of TMF best practices or how you do things within your current organization, and challenge you to think outside of the box or think a little bit more critically about the choices that you're making within your own organization. So Kerry, I know I spent a bit of time kind of giving some background about TMF University, why that was developed, some of the benefits, but do you maybe want to talk about the IAOCR piece a little bit for folks?
Sure, thanks, Ben. So IAOCR is the International Accrediting Organisation for Clinical Research, and we believe that global best practice standards are essential in protecting the rights and well-being of clinical trial patients and to reducing the risk in the development of valuable new treatments. Now, we achieve this by working with key international stakeholders such as LMK to develop independent evidence-based accreditations for professionals, sites, organisations. And Ben, as you were saying, we are assuring that the TMF professional accreditation that LMK is providing can be used by anyone, anywhere in the world, any clinical trial that they're working on, and in any role, and it assures that they have proven competence in their knowledge and skills and behaviours that are required when working with or understanding how the TMF works.
Awesome. Yeah. And I think you started to touch on, we've mentioned the word a few times here, that accreditation process. Could you maybe go into a little bit more depth into what IAOCR is looking at as part of that accreditation process, and maybe what sets it apart from just a normal kind of training program, and, you get an attendance certificate perhaps?
Yeah, absolutely. This is not just a tick box exercise where, you've turned up and you've got your certificate, as you say. This really is a test of whether you've got the knowledge, where you've understood what's been presented in the accredited training course, and are able to apply that to the situations that you'll find yourself working on in your daily working life. And in order to achieve this, the core competencies for the TMF roles were reviewed and agreed amongst industry leading experts. So that happens within a task force, so that a core competency framework can be established. And this is what's useful when we can say that, anyone in any role around the world can, if they've done the LMK accreditation, they've covered the core competencies required for that role. And this competency framework, that then informs the learning outcomes and the assessment criteria that underpin the TMF accreditations. So that these have been agreed on, and again, when they've been achieved, it shows the learner's true competence rather than just their presence on a training course. So the learners participate in the accredited training delivered by LMK, and we reinforce that training is accredited because we are quality assuring every part of the process: the training, the delivery, and the assessment of the learning outcomes. Once the learners have attended the training, then they complete a portfolio that captures evidence of their competence, for example, through a series of questions, response to scenarios, and other assessment activities. Not just, as we've spoken about before, not just something like a multiple choice quiz that you'd expect on just a general certification course. The assessor then provides learners with feedback, as well as prompting for clarification or further information if the initial answers didn't fully meet the assessment criteria. And so again, this is different from other certifications that you get partnered with an assessor, and there's this learning progression. It's a little bit like having a mentor. You've got a dialogue between the learner and the assessor, and it highlights any opportunities for development, extension of learning, and this true acknowledgement of competence through this process. The final portfolio is then sent for independent verification, which is where IAOCR's quality assurance comes in to assure the robust nature of the learner's competence. And after this period of quality assurance, successful learners are awarded their accreditation and receive a personalised professional accreditation mark.
Awesome. And Kerry, I think you touch on many of the important factors of TMF University that sets it apart. I really appreciate how you talk about multiple partnerships. I think first and foremost, the IAOCR and LMK partnership to make sure that you mentioned kind of that consistency so that individuals who complete this program, our alumni, if somebody is a qualified TMF manager, they kind of understand the process that somebody else has gone through. And as a hiring manager, if you've seen someone that's gone through the program and you yourself have, you kind of understand the tasks that they've had to complete and the education that they've received. So we really like that kind of industry recognition because it really has that effort there. And I also really appreciate how you've talked about the oversight that IAOCR provides to make sure that you're holding LMK and learners accountable, that we're not just kind of pushing people through a training program and awarding them credentials without actually proving that they have that knowledge and understanding of those topics. You talked about those competencies as well, which I so appreciate. And learners, they have multiple opportunities to attend and participate in TMF University. They can become a qualified TMF associate by completing our discovery and immersion levels, or perhaps they want to go for gold and complete all 3 levels of discovery, immersion, and mastery and become a qualified TMF manager, or perhaps they really only want to focus on one topic. Or perhaps they only want to focus on one topic like document QC or audits and inspections or current regulations. If they perhaps want to torture themselves a bit with understanding regulation a little bit more deeply, we offer a lot for learners. In IAOCR, you really do make sure that we have a consistent training program that delivers exceptional knowledge to our attendees. And I also really appreciate that you talked about that mentorship or partnership between learners and assessors, or myself as an instructor. And I think that kind of segues nicely into something I wanted to talk about, where, what's changed, right? We talk about in TMF University, for example, TMF technology, you want to see a roadmap from your vendors, right? Over time of how they've evolved their technology or their organization to adapt to current market trends or expectations. And we certainly hope LMK and TMF University does that as well. So when I think back to, when the program started to where we are today, a few years, ahead, I really do think about that mentorship and partnership being kind of one of those changes. I think when we first started TMF University, it did somewhat feel like it was lecture driven, in the sense of we had this information that we wanted to provide, these competencies that we expected learners to achieve. So it kind of felt like you were attending maybe a college or university course and we were presenting a lot of information. But I do think we've evolved the program to be a lot more engaging for learners, to provide them opportunities to have that mentorship. So we've introduced more discussions in our courses to talk about real world scenarios. What challenges are you facing as a learner, as an individual in your current work setting, or what are you hoping to better understand, so that we can touch on those points while still focusing on our core competencies, also addressing those real world needs. We're also introducing things like office hours, so additional time outside of those standardized courses that we deliver for opportunities for questions, and kind of a just more relaxed environment to, again, increase that engagement and mentorship between assessors and instructors and our learners. So I've been really appreciative of that. But more so, I'm just happy with the kind of small changes that we've made as well, based off of learner feedback. So within TMF University, we offer multiple avenues for learners to give feedback on the program, whether that's through surveys or our terrific graduation ceremony to recognize those individual learners. We always try to listen to what worked well, maybe what didn't work well, and what changes that learners want to see, or what would have helped them to be maybe more engaged in the course or more exciting for them. So whether that's updating some of our course material to be more specific or include more information about sponsor oversight or how to address sponsor and CRO relationship management, those topics that are part of our main competencies that we weren't exploring maybe as deeply before, we always look to evolve our content as well. We really pride ourselves on listening to that feedback. So that's kind of what I've seen from my end from essentially delivery of those courses. Kerry, what have you seen from kind of the oversight perspective?
Well, certainly something that's impressed me is seeing the building of rapport that the assessors and the instructors have with the learners. I mentioned that mentor relationship, and I've seen from the feedback how much the learners on these accreditations really appreciate having that sounding board, having someone to challenge them, having someone to test their ideas with and extend their understanding, even when they thought they maybe knew it all. So something I've been really impressed with is witnessing the building of rapport between these assessors, instructors, and learners that really benefits the learners. And they've acknowledged this within their feedback. They have the chance to test their understanding, check their understanding, extend their learning. They have a sounding board in their assessor and their mentor. So even for someone who thinks they know it all, they are still benefiting from having their understanding extended. And what Ben was talking about, learners having the opportunity to share experiences with each other, I also see within their portfolios how this benefits the answers that they give and really strengthens their competence. So everything that Ben was saying, really, I have seen from that external quality perspective as well that's come to light. We've also witnessed that the online assessment activities have evolved to enhance the learner engagement. As Ben says, reacting to some of the feedback, but also the learning process of which questions have worked well and which ones really provide an opportunity for learners to demonstrate their personal insight and their personal application of the learning from the training courses. Of course, we're also making sure that the content aligns with any regulatory changes as well. So that's why we're always checking to see if the program needs any minor updates.
Yeah, fantastic, Karen. I think we're kind of touching on the next thing that I want to talk about because I think we've intertwined this throughout our kind of conversation here about, TMF University as a program, but we've also mentioned, LMK and IAOCR. And I really want to make sure that future participants really understand what we each bring to the table when it comes to TMF University and why we partner together. So from, the LMK perspective, we really pride ourselves on being the subject matter experts and industry leading professionals in TMF process management and oversight. So we are those content experts that really deliver the courses and hopefully, making you think outside of the box when it comes to TMF management and oversight and providing a new perspective or either maybe confirming your current understanding of TMF management oversight best practices. So we really focus on the content and subject matter expertise part of TMF University. And as Kerry kind of mentioned, we're also looking to regulatory expectations. We're looking to industry accepted best practices, what's shared at conferences, TMF summits and other industry conferences that may occur. We look to that information and see what people are talking about to really make sure we are delivering accepted and best practice content within the program. But Kerry, what do you all do at IAOCR for the program?
Well, you deliver the knowledge and expertise, and our area of expertise is this quality assurance of the accreditation, so that you can be sure that a learner who has received their accreditation through LMK and the TMF University really is competent. We share the passion that Ben and his team have in the vital importance of competence-based training and competence-based assessment. And so those are the expertise that we've provided to support the TMF professionals accreditation.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something I think, Kerry, I've really learned is working with IAOCR is that accreditation process. And I know we spent a couple of minutes earlier talking about how robust and controlled that process is. And that's been so helpful for me as, an educator or a trainer and kind of understanding that background of building out that framework and those competencies. So I really appreciate IAOCR for guiding us in that and still helping us along the way as we evolve the program. So it's been really fantastic to see how you have helped us to build TMF University so that we can provide that consistent education to learners. And I really appreciate the oversight that you all have. Has there been anything that you've learned from your perspective from LMK as we kind of continue to evolve TMF University?
Oh, well, my word, my working with you and your team has just blown me away. It's deepened my understanding and admiration of the critical role that TMF professionals play in the safe and successful delivery of clinical trials. I've really grown to appreciate how TMF professionals are stewards of inspection readiness. The fact that they can ensure that project teams feel prepared and supported for any questions that come their way. And it's the robust nature of the TMF University accreditations that really assures the competence of these TMF professionals. I have so much admiration for you, your team, your learners. When I get to see their portfolios and see the huge skills that they need to conduct these roles and have an understanding of the TMF, it's just amazing. It's also been eye-opening in getting a better understanding of the importance of the TMF in clinical trials. I think sometimes that gets underplayed. I've learned that the TMF is the backbone of a clinical trial. It's all the evidence of the work performed. And from an IAOCR perspective, it's great to be able to assure the level of skill and knowledge required to be a TMF professional through these accreditations.
Yeah, and Carrie, I think if we could just take what you just said and maybe send that out to every organization, that would be so fantastic because it is so true. And I think this is something we have to talk about in TMF University is the significance of the trial master file. And I know I mentioned a little bit earlier that people maybe look at it as kind of that necessary evil. They understand that we have to have it, but to your credit, you've kind of mentioned that it plays a very important role. It is the backbone of the trial. It's the evidence of everything that we've done throughout the trial. And that's, I'm glad to see you kind of have that takeaway from the program development because that's at the core of what we are trying to help people to understand when it comes to the trial master file. So thanks so much for sharing again. I definitely want to send that out to everyone in the future cohorts. I'm like, just listen to this. This is kind of our target for you all. I think kind of, looking to wrap things up with our discussion, we always like to kind of look ahead and think about, how do we continue to make TMF University better? What are we looking to improve in the program perhaps? And for me, I know I've already kind of touched on this, is continuing to take feedback from the industry, from past participants in TMF University to really understand what are some of our gaps, right? We truly believe that we are delivering an industry leading training program in TMF University, but we want to continue to do that. And we know that the training that we delivered in 2021 should not be the same training that we're delivering in 2023 and beyond, whether that's due to regulatory change, accepted best practices, or just kind of new industry standards. We really want to make sure we can continue to develop the content. We want to look to explore ways to engage with more individuals. It's currently an instructor-led course, so I deliver those courses a few times a week, but we want to have more opportunity to engage, outside of the United States, Europe, South America, Asia, wherever we can. We want people to feel encouraged to participate. So we're looking for ways to do that, whether that's moving to offering maybe some kind of online learning environments where we maybe remove the instructor-led component a bit and allow people to learn a little bit more independently. We kind of continue to evaluate and evolve that process as well, because as we mentioned, one of the great benefits is that kind of shared collaboration. So we continue to look for ways to have that collaboration, perhaps in a non-instructor-led setting. So I think for me, it's really continuing to focus on the content to make sure people can be successful as a TMF professional. Or, I keep saying TMF professional. again, it's not necessarily the goal for some people to be a TMF manager, director of TMF. If you're in clinical research, you're probably hands-on or have some involvement with the TMF. So I hope that when people are participating in this course, they have a better appreciation for the trial master file and the role that they have when it comes to the TMF. So that's really what I'm looking forward to is, updating the content, looking for different methods of delivery to engage with learners in a way that works best for them. And Kerry, on your end, what are you looking forward to?
Certainly, Ben, from what you were saying about TMF professionals and their critical role being acknowledged and recognised, I've seen that the learners who go through the TMF University are certainly taking a pride in the fact that their skills, their knowledge, their expertise has finally been recognised and is prized. And it would be great to extend this and make sure that every aspect of the TMF role can be accredited. We've certainly seen a clear and increasing demand for professional recognition of the TMF role or understanding of aspects for it. And we'd like to extend our unique offering to the industry by expanding the range of accreditations for TMF professionals. We aim to continue to enhance the learner engagement through innovative and creative learning and assessment methods. And as you say, we're constantly looking at the feedback for the next best idea that we can implement.
Fantastic. I think that kind of is a great end to our conversation today, is kind of looking to the future. I've kind of appreciated our journey of kind of, again, revisiting the foundations of why TMF University was created and the partnership between LMK and IAOCR. And hopefully, as people listen to our conversation today, they really have that kind of trust in the process, so to speak, that there is this control in the environment within TMF University, that, again, we're not just kind of delivering content for the sake of having something out there. We're really looking to foster that understanding of the importance of the trial master file in any capacity, as kind of we've both mentioned at the end here, whether you are a TMF manager or associate or document reviewer or a project manager or study startup manager, anywhere in between. We want people to feel confident and comfortable when they are working within the TMF space. So I just want to say thanks, Kerry, for joining me today to kind of talk about the program, give some background and a glimpse into the future. And hopefully, if we do this again in a year or 18 months down the road and we revisit kind of where TMF University has been and where we are now, we'll have some more exciting updates and changes to the program. But just thanks for your time today. Really appreciate it. And yeah, that's it.
Oh, thank you for your time, Ben.
Absolutely.